Hi, this is Sue Jackson of the Book by Book blog, and I'm here with another Friday Reads. Happy to be back after taking a break last week. We were traveling up to Rochester, New York, my hometown, to visit family for the Thanksgiving weekend. There were big family gatherings every day of the week, every day of the weekend, plus my high school reunion. My 40th high school reunion. My health is still not good. My chronic illness is pretty badly flared up still. Yesterday was a really bad day. But I managed the weekend with lots of rest, extra naps, often leaving early. But I managed, and it was good to see everyone. I'm going to try to keep this relatively short because I do need to get back to lying down. I've got an appointment with my specialist next week on the phone, and hoping she's got some ideas to kind of break this bad relapse I've been in. But in the meantime, I need to stay horizontal as much as possible. So I'm going to try to keep this short, but you know what happens when I start talking about books. Also, a quick apology in advance. I can still hear that same cardinal beating itself against the window here in our living room. It does it all day, and then when the sun moves to the back of the house, it bangs itself against our sliding glass door all afternoon. We've tried everything. I've got the blind pulled down here to try to, so that it's not as reflective, but it is still doing it. So if you hear these strange noises, that's what it is. Okay, so I'm recording this on Thursday, which is November 30th. So I am still finishing up my nonfiction November reading. I have been reading We Are Never Meeting in Real Life by Samantha Irby. I started this last week while I was staying at my stepmom's in Rochester. Needed something light that I could dip in and out of for the chaotic holiday weekend. And I had heard good things about Samantha Irby. This is the first book of hers I've read. It's a collection of essays, as are all of her books, I believe. So Samantha is very honest and very open. She's also very funny. Her essays run the gamut from her experiences as a child with a mother who was severely disabled by MS and a father who was an alcoholic, to her experiences adopting a really nasty cat, it sounds like. She works in a vet's office. There are quite a few essays about her dating experience as a large disabled Black woman. And she puts it all out there. This book is very blunt and honest and open, about bodily functions, about sexual encounters, about her first lesbian relationship. So if any of that bothers you, this is not for you. She puts it all out there. But I like her honesty. Certain things are not really relatable for me, like her discussions of dating in the modern world. I've been married for 34 years, so haven't really dated since I was about 21. But they're still amusing. And I didn't realize that she had a chronic illness until I was partway into the book. I looked it up, although she mentions it later in the book. She has Crohn's disease, which is an autoimmune condition. I also have an immune disorder, and so I'm finding those parts very relatable. My symptoms are different than hers, but the way that having a chronic illness affects everything in your life is very relatable. So I'm enjoying it. I hope to finish it today. Just very honest, very open, sometimes moving, and always funny. That's We Are Never Meeting in Real Life by Samantha Irby. Now, on audio, I am also listening to nonfiction. I am listening to Moment of Lift by Melinda Gates. The subtitle of this book, which I didn't know before I started it, is How Empowering Women Changes the World. And because I didn't know what the subtitle was before I started it, I thought this was more of a memoir / self-help book. It is and it isn't. It's very much about the charitable work that she has done through her foundation, and in particular focused on women, changing the lives of girls and women all over the world. Some of the aspects of her foundation's work are things like increasing access to contraceptives, helping with equality in relationships between men and women, and education, certainly making sure that girls are able to stay in school and be educated. And the through line through all of this is that the subtitle, that empowering women changes the world, that by improving the lives of women and girls, you can improve the lives of entire communities and cultures and countries. And so she mixes in her personal experience, plenty of statistics, so that you know this isn't just her personal experience, but real life, and lots of stories of the girls and women she has met through this work all over the world. So in the early chapters, there are lots of stories about her work in developing countries, particularly in Africa, specific stories of specific girls and women and their communities, and how small changes have vast effects. Things like bringing the men and women in a village together to talk about gender roles, something that had never happened before. They had these very strict gender roles simply because that's the way it's always been. And with the men in charge, they didn't see any reason to change things. And how her team just leading these simple meetings of the men and women in a village about what each does, what their roles are, how their roles affect life in the village, had dramatic changes for the whole community. And it's that way for every topic she talks about. It is really some stunning, interesting, and inspiring work that she's done. And toward the end of the book, I'm right at the end, again, hoping to finish for NonFiction November tonight. At the end of the book, she is talking more about her own personal experiences as a woman in the tech industry here in the US. And that is just as fascinating. As a female engineer back in the 80s, I could really relate to a lot of what she's talking about. Being the only woman professional in a large group, in companies run by men, I could definitely relate to much of that. She talks about her own experiences in learning not how to fit into that culture, but how to be able to be herself and create a new culture. Just fascinating. The whole book has been excellent. She reads the audio herself, which is great. And I've really enjoyed Moment of Lift by Melinda Gates. So that's what I've been reading this week and what I hope to finish this week. Please let me know what you're reading. I'd love to hear about it. Let me know in the comments down below, and take a moment to like and subscribe if you haven't already.